X-Men 97 Season 2 is finally bringing Havok, Polaris, Multiple Man, and the rest of Peter David's iconic X-Factor team into the spotlight. But if you're trying to build this roster in Marvel Legends, you're about to run into a problem. Some figures are excellent, others are trapped behind outdated engineering or painful aftermarket prices. So before the toy hunt begins, I'm ranking the Marvel Legends X-Factor figures. Which figures deserves a place on your X-Men 97 shelf, and which ones are going to cost you money, shelf space, and disappointment. Before starting our top 10, here are some X-Factor adjacent characters who are in X-Men 97. Monet or M. The Marvel Legends figure we have of her is in her classic Generation X uniform. In the comic books, she wasn't part of the 90s government squad because she literally hadn't been created yet. But a few years later, she became a core member of Jamie Madrox's X-Factor investigations. So, if you want to expand your shelf past the 90s cartoon into a full Peter David legacy display, she's a must-have. Even if her plastic form is from a completely different era. Mystique. Is she already in X-Men 97? I mean, maybe she's been shape-shifting as Bal Cooper the entire time. Why else would Bal let Magneto free while he was down to his speedos? But in the comic books, she is heavily tied to the mid-90s X-Factor run, specifically starting in X-Factor number 112. The government caught Mystique and forced her onto the X-Factor roster. To keep her from escaping, they surgically implanted a microscopic inhibitor chip directly into her brain. And guess who they made her official warden and handler? Forge, who you'll be seeing in this top 10. Speaking of Mystique, one of her children is here to tell you exactly which channel you are watching.
Well, hey there, sugar. This here is Lenore Zan, aka Rogue of the X-Men. And you know, you are watching some truly unstoppable X-Men content by my pal, Drew, aka Tuggernaut Collectables.
This is my unstoppable top 10 Marvel Legends X-Factor figures ever. Coming at number 10 is Wolfsbane. Rain Sinclair has been a long-time fixture on most collectors' wishlist, and Hasbro finally made dreams come true in 2024 when she was released. Or rather, did Hasbro give collectors their worst nightmare? For a figure fans had been begging Hasbro to make, for me, she did not live up to the expectations. Despite that, she was a definite pickup for those building another furry character. The Sabu Build-A-Figure. Another head sculpt would have been nice, but having Sabu's torso included puts a ceiling on the accessories Hasbro would include for her. I really want to like this figure, despite her inaccurate colors and look, but she can't even pose like a wolf on all fours. Her lack of articulations put her at the bottom of the top 10, but the X-Factor roster won't be complete without her. So we have no choice but to get her. Speeding his way to number 9 is Quicksilver. This guy doesn't even bother wearing an X-Factor uniform, which made it easy for Hasbro to make a figure of him using a generic body mold. For a basic looking figure, he is from the 2019 Amazon exclusive Family Matters 3-pack. Tracking him down means paying for a 3-pack with characters you might already have on your X-Men 97 and Avengers shelves. This blue uniform is his most memorable 90s costume, so I do wonder if Hasbro will ever release an updated pinless version of him. For now, it's a wait and see if he is worth adding. Screaming silently at number 8 is Siryn. The Marvel Legends figure we got of her is in her classic yellow and green X-Force uniform. For X-Men 97 Season 2, she'll be wearing the standard blue and yellow X-Factor uniform. Her old figure famously did not come with a screaming head sculpt, and even after several years, fans are still waiting for Hasbro to fulfill their promise to give Terry her signature screaming head. Is X-Men 97 the excuse Hasbro needs to finally give fans that head sculpt? Although if they do, she would likely have that animated series style hair, which might not be most collectors' preference. In the comic books, she is an X-Factor member, but not during the 90s government era. Instead, she is part of Jamie Madrox's X-Factor investigation team, where her story really shines. As proof, in X-Factor number 200, Terry fled to Ireland and ended up sharing a bed with Deadpool. If you thought her comic book drinking problems were bad enough on their own, adding Wade Wilson to her coping mechanism surely makes that addiction look mild. At number 7, we have Forge. In X-Men 97, Forge went to the future to bring the X-Men Wasteland team back to the 90s. There are two versions of the Marvel Legends Forge I have, the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave and the recent X-Men Strike Force 3-pack. Either of the two can fit on your X-Factor shelf, as both figures share similarities in costume design. Personally, I like the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave Forge because of the small detail added to pay homage to his Native American roots. His boots. Known as the Maker, a mutant who can invent advanced tech, Forge really got shortchanged by Hasbro. If they had actually given him a unique looking accessory that gives a nod to his specific mutant power, I could have easily ranked him much higher on this top 10 list. Now we get into the figures that actually look like the team, but they force you to balance nostalgia against modern shelf standards. At number 6, Havok and Polaris. While X-Men 97 might be setting up their government-era uniforms, it was a fantastic surprise to see the Mistress of Magnetism in her classic comic book green costume and crown. Despite being built on an older body mold, this remains the absolute go-to look to recreate her iconic history with the original X-Men lineup. Havok in his classic costume is very basic by comparison, but his power effects are something special. I'm honestly shocked Hasbro has yet to reuse these effects anywhere else, especially since they were so widely praised by the toy community. Although this represents their costumes prior to joining X-Factor, they remain incredibly iconic. Unlike those matching X-Factor uniforms, which lock the characters into one specific restrictive theme era, these classic outfits are highly versatile, allowing you to seamlessly display Alex and Lorna across multiple eras and different storylines on your shelf. At number 5, it seems random. Of all of the characters on this list, Random might be the biggest surprise. Most collectors barely remember him from the comics, yet somehow Hasbro turned him into one of the most fun action figures in the entire X-Factor roster. The sculpted weapon arm looks fantastic, the bulky proportions stand out on a shelf, and unlike many deep-cut characters, he immediately catches your eye. So why isn't he higher? Because no matter how good looking the figure is, he's still a supporting cast. Hasbro knows that too, so they did not bother adding accessories to Random. When people think of X-Factor, they think Havok, Polaris, Strong Guy, and Multiple Man. Random is the character that completes the shelf, but not the reason you build it. At number 4, is he the fan favorite X-Factor member? Guido Carosella, Strong Guy. He is the massive visual anchor of the team, and Hasbro did collectors a huge solid by making him highly accessible again with the deluxe release, meaning you don't have to hunt down the expensive individual Build-A-Figure pieces. While he is still available at retail, grab him because every X-Factor shelf lives or dies by Strong Guy. And when I say die, do they die because Strong Guy falls over and crushes them? His top-heavy, bulky size can make it a little bit tricky for him to stand still. Just like the Hulk, I personally prefer Guido to be scaled a bit larger than this. But in the past, I was reminded that his size actually depends on how much kinetic energy he absorbs. So I guess this version did not absorb enough kinetic energy. Since I already owned the original Build-A-Figure version, which didn't come with any extra accessories like the alternate hands, The barbell and those two unique facial expressions? Should I replace the build-up figure with this new deluxe release? Let me know in the comments below. At number 3, the Mistress of Magnetism returns, but this time in her X-Factor uniform, Polaris. For X-Men 97 Season 2, Lorna Dane is set to carry the massive narrative weight of Magneto's tragic legacy from Genosha. If you look at the comic book, specifically New X-Men number 132, Polaris was a survivor of that brutal Sentinel massacre, left wandering the ruins completely unhinged. And just a few issues later, in Uncanny X-Men number 431, a DNA test officially proved she is Magneto's biological daughter, cementing her as the true heir to his militant throne. But before all that drama, this figure represents her classic X-Factor costume, and she looks spectacular on the shelf. Just like her father Magneto, this figure commands attention. The green hair is gorgeous, featuring great sculpt work on the curls and nice paint wash. However, her body mold and accessories are feeling a bit outdated by now. She would heavily benefited from updated finless articulation and power effects that aren't so generic. For now, I say wait before purchasing her on the aftermarket. If the rumors are true, a dedicated X-Men 97 Polaris release will fix her articulation, give her better power effects, and match the animated aesthetics perfectly. Interestingly, at number 2 is a guy that cannot be left alone, Jamie Madrox. The biggest irony of Multiple Man, to actually show off his power on your shelf, you need multiples. But on the aftermarket right now, just one Multiple Man from the 2018 Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave is going to cost you at least the price of 2 standard figures. One Multiple Man looks too lonely, 2 Multiple Men still looks depressing, 3 starts to make a club, and if you want a team, a party of 5 finally looks like Multiple Man. And that's exactly when your wallet starts to cry. Mine certainly did when I purchased 3 of him on the aftermarket. If Hasbro reissues him on a modern pinless body for X-Men 97, the aftermarket price on this older one may drop. Do not get trapped by FOMO. Wait for the X-Men 97 drop so you can buy 3 to 5 of this new version at a retail price so you can build your army properly. If you think building the 90s government team is a financial nightmare, it gets worse because Peter David didn't just write this 90s squad, he came back years later for the legendary X-Factor Investigations, a detective agency led by Jamie. For his X-Factor Investigation look, the X-Men Retro Multiple Man would be my go-to choice. Then we also need Monet, Darwin, Siryn, Longshot, Shatterstar, and Rictor. I just hope Hasbro makes a Layla Miller figure in the future so Jamie won't have to talk to himself when he gets lonely. Claiming the top spot is Havok in his X-Factor uniform. Madrox may be the heart of X-Factor, but Havok is the figure that best represents what this team should look like in Marvel Legends form. This is peak character design. The iconic jacket looks pristine and perfectly captures the exact silhouette needed for this 90s display. I really appreciate how Hasbro added small details like the zipper. While I usually prefer cloth goods jackets, Hasbro executed this plastic one incredibly well from an aesthetic standpoint. The articulation can still be a bit of an issue, but this Alex Summers figure looks like a legitimate poster boy for X-Factor. Even if an X-Men 97 version eventually comes out, this current Havok will likely still look better, more premium and more dynamic on a 1/12 scale display. He is the only figure on this list that is completely safe from being made obsolete by a cartoon reissue. This Havok action figure comes to mind when I think about Peter David's X-Factor team. The jacket, the attitude, the leadership, and that iconic 90s silhouette are exactly why Havok earns the top spot. Building the XMen 97 X-Factor team is a true test of how devoted you are to building out your XMen 97 shelf to match the characters in Season 2. It's a test of how much your wallet can handle the aftermarket and how much bad engineering you're willing to tolerate. Since most of the figures we looked at today are older and carrying heavier price tag on the aftermarket, do you think it's worth picking them up right now? Or are you just going to wait for an official XMen 97 version from Hasbro? Let me know in the comments below. This video is part of my massive XMen series celebrating XMen 97 Season 2. If you want to see more rankings and figure breakdowns, click the playlist in the top right corner of your screen. Thank you. If you enjoyed this ranking, make sure to blast that hype button, punch that like button with a smile like Guido, subscribe, and just like Bad Rocks, multiply the views by sharing this video with our fellow XMen 97 fans. Also, if you're looking to pick up any of the figures featured today, I left some links in the description below. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.